Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Hey, remember those fun times when it was sunny out? You had to go out and play when you were 4 years old. You just wandered around. The world was new. Oh, fuck you, you're old now. You're gonna die soon. You're never gonna get that childhood stuff back. Hi. Hello, Aaron. Hope you're doing well. Congrats again on your company's 5th anniversary. Thank you. Thank you. Sales are already up. Tell people and friends. Opening up a whole new service. Got the full life analysis. You get it for $200. You give me all the shit you got, and I'll take care of it all. $200 a shot, within reason. Don't fucking write me 8 pages. I would like some perspective based on your northern and western travels. You likely dropped some of this information in videos over the years sporadically, but it'd be good to address it in one video for all your viewers. Quick recap, I'm a 37-year-old male living in Henderson, Nevada. We have probably driven past each other. Working in Silicon Valley. Single, no kids, and world traveler due to my job. I live in Nevada part-time due to this lifestyle and love what the Henderson, Vegas area has to offer. A few years back, after flying from city to city for work for many years, I decided to explore all the in-betweens of the U.S. and Canada. I was burnt out on airports and Marriotts. For about 2 years, I drove across the United States and Canada multiple times, putting on 75,000 miles on various rental cars, and even made a road trip to Alaska from Los Angeles. Dude, you've gone more probably than I have. Best road trip ever, especially the northern part of British Columbia and the Yukon Territory. The one thing I did not do well was really explore a lot of places as well as I should have. It was a lot of drive-by traveling. With the summer approaching, I'm looking for some new places to visit. I've already hit all 50 states, but feel there's probably a lot of cool, hard-to-find places that I've missed. I have to spend about a month in Europe for work in May and want to come back in June with an itinerary that could keep me occupied through the summer so I can avoid the Vegas heat. Here's my question. Can you list some cool spots in the U.S. West and Central and Northern Canada for visiting, hiking, exploring, peace and quiet reflection and or other outdoor activities for some upcoming summer road trips? Maybe 5 to 10 places. 5 to 10 places in a month. Okay. 10 in a summer, you're going to be rushing. That's not going to be a lot of relaxation. Because, dude, trust me, I've done it before. Like, I'm going to go here and sit and relax. And what do? I charge up 1 billion mountains, hike 1,000 badlands, ride 1 billion miles, and you're not relaxing. I would, because there's plenty of places, and there's more places than you have life expectancy. That's another thing I realized. You are not going to hit it all. I know that's at the back of your mind, and I did the math. I looked around. I was in Wyoming one time. I'm like, I don't have the life expectancy to even do all of this state if I wanted to. So a lot, goddamn, half your stuff is just driving to figure out what an F's name is out there. And you've done that. And I've done that. Now I'm on the next stage. Damn well near 50 years old. I'm finally on the next stage where I'm going to hunker down. I'm going to beat the hell out of Moab. I'm going to beat the hell out of Blanding. I'm going to go and I'm going to sit my ass. I'm going to do all of Zion. I'm going to do... I wasn't that impressed with Rocky Mountains. I'm going to do Vernal. And you got to park your ass there. Find lodging. That's the hard part, is finding lodging that isn't going to rape you. And then... just go. Go every freaking day and go. And then you're going to have to rest. So that's another thing. You're going to have to rest. So if you have a summer, 10 places is going to be a lot. Because, man, Glacier National Park alone will take you a month. A month of some pretty... to do all the main stuff and recuperate and not burn yourself out. That'll take a month. Moab will take at least a month. You know, and then, do I want to hike Mount Waz? Do I want to go to Gateway, Colorado, too? Maybe I get into off-road motorcycling, and then you're there for an entire summer. There's your summer, one spot. There's a lot of places, just big and expanse like that you got. Heck, South Dakota, I've done 3 summers now, and I still haven't done everything I wanted to do. And that's a small area. So I don't think you're going to be doing 10. I think you do 3 to 5. Otherwise, you're going to be doing the traveling and looking. Hey, that looks nice to climb. Maybe I'll come back here someday. And you'll forget about it. Then you look through pictures. I should have gone back there and climbed that. To be more specific, can you comment on your experiences and travels in these places? Wyoming, Eastern Washington, Montana, Utah, Colorado, South Dakota, Northern Idaho, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. Oh, dude, there's nothing in Saskatchewan. That's just... Okay, Saskatchewan and Manitoba... No. I haven't really even traveled in Manitoba. Saskatchewan, I went from Portal, that's where I entered Canada. I went up to Regina, and I cut over to Moose Jaw. I thought North Dakota was flat. Saskatchewan is nothing. Just nothing. Manitoba I can't speak to because I've never traveled there. But I can talk about British Columbia. Because I've traveled, and Alberta, because I did travel somewhat extensively there. Let me know how much for money and video. All right. How do we want to do this? Let's go through each of the states. Let's be thorough first, and then I'll point out the highlights, the jewels that I think you should spend. It would make great candidates for a summer retreat. All right, Wyoming. Wyoming, I think Yellowstone is overrated. I prefer the Bighorn Mountains. I prefer the southern Bighorn Mountains over the northern Bighorn Mountains. There is Lander, which is the Wind Mountains. Is that Wind River? Hang on, let me look this up. It's been a while since I've been there. Lander, Wyoming. Lander's just the town, and it's stuck up in the mountains. That's where the Green River starts, flows down to the Colorado, and forms. What's this mountain range? I think it's the Wind River Mountain Range. Whatever. The mountain range to the south, that's nice. The Bighorn Mountains, I prefer. You can do Grand Teton, Yellowstone National Park, all that. I think it's highly overrated. The best thing out of that is Silver City, or Cook City Silver Gate is there. What is it? Red Chief? What's the name of the Indian? The highway's named after it, and you want to do Beartooth Pass. That's the funnest part of that entire thing. Yes, I know there's a lot more to the park. I was just highly unimpressed with it. So you come out of Cody, and I can see Beartooth Pass. What the hell is Highway 212? That road actually goes through the Twin Cities. It's named after some Indian chief. That's about the only thing I'd really do in Wyoming. The problem with Wyoming, as I've said many times before, is the people. It's a meth lab. It's a big square meth lab. So unless you're going to hang out in, say, Sheridan or Buffalo ever so temporarily, and then move on to Cody to check out, God, I can't remember. Why can't I think? Beartooth Pass, the rest of the state can be ignored and skipped. It just isn't. It's not worth it. Eastern Washington. There's not a lot in Eastern Washington. It's not until you make the jump into Idaho. So there's Spokane, it's there. But not until you make it into the jump into Idaho do you get into the mountain ranges there. And Idaho and the border between Montana is very nice. The Bitterroot Mountains are very nice. Boise is Deadsville. There's nothing in Boise. It's very not pretty. You thought it would be pretty, but I went there. I'm like, this isn't that pretty. But that panhandle part of Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, is all very pretty and beautiful. But that eastern part of Washington is not that beautiful. Not until you go back up the mountains, up along the highway with Kellogg, Wallace, and all that. That entire area is very nice. Trapper Peak, which is down past Missoula, that's on the Montana-Idaho border. That was one of the most pretty hikes I've ever done. You can find that, of course, in this book, Reconnaissance Man. There is a picture of Trapper Peak in there because it's absolutely gorgeous. That'd be fun. The problem is, well, for you in summer, that'd be all right. But you're talking lots of distances, man. This is not a tight area like Moab or Revelstoke. You're going to be doing a lot of traveling in that area. And there's no major city center that you can bivouac in an HQ out of. Whereas Revelstoke there is, Calgary, even Prince George, but that's still a little bit further away from things. But that panhandle is all right. The southern part of Idaho is more semi-arid, high plateau, high plains, and not as pretty. Montana, big-ass state. Big-ass state. Nothing in the first two-thirds of it in the east. You got to go to the west and the border of Idaho. So there's nothing wrong with checking out that area between Idaho and Montana. There are sizable towns like Missoula. I guess you could hang out in Wallace. But it's, yeah, I think Missoula's about the only major town you could HQ out of. It'll be nice during summer. It won't be freezing cold like winter. But you're going to, if you get into some of those passes, especially in June, they may be snowed out. I mean, glaciers sometimes are not clear until July. So depending on how high you go and which passes you're looking at, there may still be snow up there. Utah. I love Utah. If I had a choice between Utah, it'd be #1, Moab. Problem with Moab, $300 a night to stay there during summer. It's also going to be hot during summer, so you may not want to do that. Very close second, maybe better because it's a little bit higher up, would be Zion. Zion National Park. You can get up on top and hike on top of the canyon. There's a bunch. You could hike to the Kolob Reservoir. I want to do that. And then also in that area is Bryce Canyon National Park, so a ton of state parks. So that southern and western part of Utah is very nice. Moab, you can do it, but very pricey. But Grand Junction is not more than an hour away. That might give you a cheaper option. You could stay in Green River. There's nothing going on in Green River. You're still going to have a commute to Moab. Something to consider. Blanding is south of Moab. But again, it's going to be hot during summer. But it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. In the northern part of Utah, you may want to consider this. This it may not be fun, but it'll be logistical and it'll get you a lot of distance. Salt Lake City, major metro. You can get your Walmarts or whatever else you want there. And then you're within range of a lot of things. There's the mountain range that Deseret Peak is on. That's a wonderful mountain range. You're basically surrounded by mountains. To your west, I forget the mountain range there. To your south, to your east, there's a mountain range there. You come in over through Wyoming, there's mountains there. To your south, there's mountains. To your southwest, there's mountains. Deseret Peak is a great hike. One of the most beautiful views you're ever going to have because you have so many. You see city, you see salt flats, you see mountains. To the southeast is King Mountain. I know the mountains, I don't know the mountain ranges. Yeah, Ashley National Forest. I guess that's straight east. Kings Peak, the Uinita Wasatch Cache National Forest. That's an interesting mountain range. Yeah, there's the other mountain range there. There's Thule. And then also, you are half a day's drive to a town called Vernal, which has Dinosaur National Monument. That would be a place that you would hike and explore and enjoy. That would take at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks. So one place you want to sit. But if you look at the map, you got to make your way to Dinosaur National Park. And it's really hard. You're probably going to want to do whitewater rafting. Handful of hikes are there. But it's very rocky and cavernous, but absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. I mean, anytime you want to see pictures, you can go to my Instagram account and follow me on Instagram, I guess. That's where I post all my pictures. But it is... Dinosaur National Monument is beautiful. It is beautiful. Yeah, there's Flaming Gorge. If you want to go to Wyoming, you can. Anyway, Salt Lake City will give you a lot to do with all the amenities of a major metro area. Colorado, oh jeez, you need a full summer. HQ in Denver, prepare for traffic. You can do the Rocky Mountains. You can go do in the far other side of the state. I love Cortez. Cortez, though, I'd loop that in with Moab. Although you could do Cortez on your own. You can do Canyon of the Ancients. Look for all the old ancient Pueblo dwellings. You could do the Rocky Mountain area near Denver and Fort Collins. That's an area you could do. You could go inland into the mountains and just be a ski bum or hang out in like Copper Mountain, Breckenridge, and Vail, that area there. You can go south to Cortez where it's a little bit more deserty, and Durango. There's a gorgeous strip that you could do between Ouray, spelled O-U-R-R-A-Y, all the way down to Durango. That would be something you could do. You could get Telluride on the other side of that. There's plenty of hiking. That'll take you, at minimum, that'd take you 2 weeks if you want to do an okay job of it. Plenty to do there. Gateway, Colorado, it's more like a 3 or 4 day thing you could do. And And I'd throw that more in with Moab. But basically, there's the two, what is it, called the frontier side and the communist leftist red asshole side, because all the communists live on the Denver side. That's the Rocky Mountain National Park you could do. But then otherwise, there's the Ouray Durango stretch, and then there's also Durango Cortez stretch. But that's more Pueblo Indians, canyons, stuff like that. So that's Colorado. South Dakota. South Dakota, you could do a summer in, but it's going to just be the Black Hills. For a lot of people, that's not going to be enough. Like, those are mountains. I love the Black Hills because I love motorcycle riding. There's agate hunting, fossil hunting. There's Badlands National Park. The other thing that I like about South Dakota is I get altitude sickness pretty easily. At around 12,000, 12,500 feet, I will get a pounding headache. The highest peak in South Dakota is 7,200 feet. And so these are mountains that I can do without a pounding headache. Or going and grasping for air. Northern Idaho, I already talked to you about that. That's kind of associated with eastern Washington. Northern Idaho is better than southern Idaho. Oh, then you do mention Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. I forget Saskatchewan and Manitoba, no reason. Alberta. All right, let's pull up the map. You're not going to be doing so much Alberta. You will be doing the Canadian Rockies. And that will take you way more than one summer. So you have Banff and Jasper. There's Revelstoke. And there's this whole other area I'm going to tell you about. But what I would do for an entire summer, I would do Banff. You could do an entire summer in Banff. Just that alone. If you get bored, you could go up to Jasper. And that's huge. You could, just like it. It's basically a repeat of Glacier, if you've never been to Glacier. It's just a continuation of the Canadian Rockies. The Canadian Rockies are much prettier than the American Rockies. Terribly sorry. Glacier National Park of Canada, there's that. There's Revelstoke. Revelstoke is a beautiful town. You can do the national park there. But if you take a look, there's Revelstoke. I'm going to give you a loop. So look up Revelstoke. I'm just going to give you this big-ass loop. So you go Revelstoke. Then you go counterclockwise to Sycamus, Salmon Arm, Vernon. You could go Kiwalana, but you're not going to want to go out that far into that. You're going to take 6 down to Castlegar, Nelson, or Creston, and the Cranbrook, Invermere, and the Radium, Hot Springs, Golden, and back to Revelstoke. That entire area that I just drew a circle, ever so rough circle around, is just this wonderful, dammed-up mountain lake country. And there's little towns. I've been to Nelson. I did Nacups. I took my motorcycle down these, and there's barges going over, ferries going over carrying motorcycles and cars and things. That entire area, there's cottages, there's mountains, there's national parks, there's state parks, there's city parks. There's just shit to look at. There's stuff to sit and do nothing. If you want to sit and relax, what I would do is pick yourself out some Airbnbs for 2 to 3 days a pop at each town and just drive to the next town and chill out. And drive to the next town and chill out. Oh, okay, maybe go for a hike here. Oh, drive out there, we'll go for a hike there at that park. But that was some of the most beautiful motorcycle riding I've ever ridden, and I promised myself I would go back there when I'm a little bit older and I can't just climb up mountains anymore and just ride and park and ride and park. It's just miles and miles and miles of beauty. If you wanted then to, you could do the Calgary Banff thing, kind of like the Denver Rocky Mountain National Park thing. You just hang out in Calgary and you go and visit and do a hike every day in Banff. Don't forget Tim Hortons. Jasper's a little bit more rural. Yeah, Edmonton's way the hell out there. Yeah, you can't do Edmonton. You're going to have to stay in the park somewhere. I did like the town of Smithers, which if we go past Prince George into British Columbia, Smithers is a nice place. And that area as well, now you're starting to get close to the tip of Alaska there. It starts getting very mountainous as well. Kitwanga, I remember pulling off there to go up to Hyder. And that area, even though I did not get into it, that far, it just ended up getting amazingly mountainous and beautiful. The stretch between Banff and Jasper National Park is the most scenic ride I've had, but you're following a river pretty much the entire time. Then you get here into the Alaskan/Canadian Pacific Rockies. You just like, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And here's the other, you've driven the rest. You went up into Fairbanks, I imagine. You've done that. That just keeps on going, man. It just keeps on going. And Alaska is, I've not been to Alaska except for that tip, is just as mountainous and beautiful as the Canadian-American Rockies, if not more so. I haven't been to Vancouver, but that's my recommendation, is you do that lake area I circled and you beat the hell out of Banff and Jasper. And then if you get the time, and there was a place in Alaska, unfortunately, you're just best to fly out there and rent. But that area between Smithers, Kitwanga, Prince Rupert, that area was really beautiful. Now here's another thing I'm going to give you a little bit of an edge on. If you leave in June and you go up to Canada, the further up you go, I was there in July and the days were getting shorter. All right, we had hit the summer vortex or whatever the hell they call it, and it was still about 20 hours of sunlight. The sun was rising like 4:20 in Smithers. I stayed in Smithers. It'd go down at 10 p.m. So if you want to make hay during the daylights in the daytime, I'd be looking at Jasper, Smithers, Alaska, stuff like that, so you can truly take advantage of the summer hours. So you have all the sunlight and daytime in the world. That's what I would do. It's not to say that there won't be long days in Colorado, but why not get yourself an extra hour and a half, 2 hours a day of sunlight during summer and just have a hell of a time. And it's not going to get that hot. It doesn't get that hot up there. So if I had to choose between the United States and Canada or Alaska, I'd be choosing Canada and Alaska because I think the Canadian Rockies are prettier. I think Alaska's prettier. And you just get that extra bonus time of daylight. I mean, it made my trip possible to Alaska and back on a motorcycle because I'd have 20 hours to ride. 20 hours of daylight. You could do it. Going 800-900. I don't think I did 1,000 miles in a day, but there was a couple 800-mile days, which is about 73 billion kilometers for those of you in Canada. So that is addressing all of the states and provinces you mentioned. Now, what I would recommend for a summer, if you can stand the heat, I would do Moab. That would be the number 1 thing I would do. I think that's the most beautiful part of the contiguous United States. There's 2 national parks, a ton of other, and it goes as far as you want it to. It goes as far as you want it to. It only gets boring when you start to go north towards Green River, the town. But if you go south, there's Mexican Hat all the way to the south. There's a ton of hiking and petroglyphs and Indian mounds and things. It's just all over. You can go to Cortez. You will not get through Moab and the surrounding area in the summer. You'll take a big bite out of it, but you won't get through it. It is going to be hot though. Very close second, Zion National Park and the surrounding area, including Bryce Canyon. That's a little bit cooler because you're going to be at a higher elevation, but again, it will be hot during summer. So maybe not Utah. If you want to, if that is too hot for you, I would then recommend for first place, Banff and Jasper. Do Banff and Jasper, or one or the other if you don't have the time. I think you get tired, you just want to go see Jasper or Lake Louise and do that ride. I think that'd be beautiful. And I would just tear that place up. If you get too bored, you get a little wanderlust, there's all that area, including Revelstoke and that circle I showed you there below. But I would go for a month if you could to Banff and Jasper. A summer you could do a pretty good job of that area. Pretty good job. You still won't do everything, but you do a pretty good job. And again, you get that benefit of the light. So if I had to rank it, I prefer that over Moab and Zion. It's just I think Moab and Zion are just really awesome, unique looking places. If you want to try, you're going to be real rural. It's going to be expensive with housing and lodging. All these places are going to be expensive with housing and lodging. You could try that Smithers, Kitwanga area. And then you're up in Alaska. North of that, I don't know. You have more experience than me in that. But then returning to the United States, you had a summer. I would not do Idaho. I wouldn't even do the Cascades in Washington. They're nice, don't get me wrong, they're nice, but you're never going to have to go to Seattle, and that's just going to ruin it. I would do all of Colorado. Colorado, you would be able to do a lot. I don't mean the whole state, but even though I know you probably want to stay in one area, Colorado has enough, like, I've hiked 3 days in the Rocky Mountain National Park. Now I'm up for something different. All right, I went down to Mesa Verde. Now I'm up for something different. Now I'm in Durango. In other words, you could keep moving like a vagabond. There's just another town up the road, especially that corridor from Durango up to Ouray. You could stop in Silverton. You can stop in Ouray. You can make the jump over to Telluride. And you could just slowly migrate yourself through Colorado and hike the shit out of that state. And then anytime you get, there's some sizable towns. Durango, Grand Junction, Denver, of course. Frisco, which most people don't know about, but that's up in the mountains. Northern Colorado ain't that exciting. But Colorado would definitely be something that you could sleep in your car. You get a tent. I'd prefer not a tent, but a hammock. Hammocks are nice. And you're going to get a little bit of everything. You're going to get mountains. You're going to get desert. You're going to get canyons. You're going to get waterfalls. You get high peaks. You get low peaks. And the next cool thing is not that far away in Colorado. Like, if you're driving to South Dakota, it's 400 freaking miles of nothing. And then you get to a mountain range. And then guess what? It's another 100 miles of nothing until you kind of get to another mountain range. Colorado, you spit. There's another mountain, there's a national park, there's this, there's that, there's a waterfall. Especially once you get across the plains part. So Colorado might be, and you're high up enough that it's going to be cool. So that's what I would recommend. So in order of the places I recommend. And this is in terms of fun. Not budget. We're not including budget. We are including weather. I would do Banff and Jasper. And Revelstoke if you got the time, the entire summer. If you want to try it, that Smithers, Kitwanga, Prince Rupert area, that was really beautiful. Not a lot of people there. But hopefully it'll be a little bit cheaper. Then I do Colorado. Then I do Moab. And Zion, but again, Zion and Moab are going to be hotter than sin come August and July, so you may not want to do that. I think that's about it. Those are the areas I would, if I had 3 months' time, that's what I would focus on. I wouldn't recommend South Dakota because you're going to have to drive way too far, and I don't think it's going to be enough for you. You're going to want to see. You've traveled enough. I don't think it's like the Ozarks or the Smokies. You're just not going to be that excited about it. The Cascades are nice. Idaho's alright, but you gotta really drive around. Montana's too spread out. Yeah, I think Colorado's populated enough. There's always a Sonic or a Mavericks gas station around. Wintertime, though, man, you're in the best spot. Wintertime, you're in a real good spot. So. Alright, that's it. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. You got traveling questions, where to live, where to go. Get that book, Reconnaissance Man. Hey, that's actually at Arches National Park, which is the lesser of the two parks out there in Moab, by the way. And that's it. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.